some tea with the bougie babe. Sip some tea with the bougie babe. Uninhibited, uncensored. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Uninhibited, uncensored. Come on, y'all. Sip some tea with the bougie babe. Uninhibited, uncensored. Let's talk about it. 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 Let's talk about it.
Hey, bougies. Welcome to the Bougie Babe podcast. And boy, do I have a show for y'all today. I'm already warm just thinking about it, but we're not even going to go there. So first, let's start with the tea. Today's tea is forbidden fruit. So the ingredients for this one is going to be crown apple, orange curacao, and some cran raspberry juice. And let me tell you, it's so good. It's so good. So do y'all want to taste of the forbidden fruit? So today we have, and I'm so honored, but we have Sir Marvelous here with us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes. And for those of you who don't know, he is a pleasure and intimacy coach. So you can learn a lot. And then we have Glo Baby.
Yes.
Yes. And so, we're gonna see what all of this is about. And for those of you that you can't really see what's here on the table, we're gonna have some behind the scenes shots for you guys. Sir is going to
give us some demonstrations, answering some questions.
Who are you demonstrating on?
Whoever's willing to volunteer as tribute.
Fine.
It's gonna be me.
So just to give a little bit of background about Sir Marvelous, he coaches, as I said, pleasure and intimacy, right?
Yes.
And so when I was doing a little bit of research about him and looking into what he's teaching, I saw was, BDSM and some kink. And people often shy away from that.
Absolutely.
It's the taboo. It's the forbidden thing.
Especially us black and brown folk. We're like, nah, that's white people shit. We don't do that.
They really do. Why do you think that is? What?
Because a lot of what we've seen on television is usually the more dramatized version of kink and BDSM. Even before being viral on social media was a thing, that was, I guess, the aim for a lot of the clips that they would put on media. The idea of that shock value.
Right.
And also they neglect the opportunity to inform people about how to properly do kink or BDSM. It's usually no discussion about consent or safety or being gentle or sensual. It's always the harder stuff. And, that's not necessarily what
So it's
most
a proper way to do this?
Absolutely. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it.
So it's all about it.
Yes.
Glo Baby, tell me, just from your own personal knowledge and maybe experiences or not, what is it about BDSM and kink that you already know?
I know that sometimes people pleasure from pain. And like he was saying, all pain is not exactly what it sounds like. Pain.
Yes.
It's like he said, I think it more so is a proper way of doing it. And people look at the mechanism of it, of a whip or a belt or a chain, and automatically think, oh, it's going to hurt. Oh, but honestly, don't knock it till you try it.
Okay. Y'all heard that?
Don't knock it till you try it.
Go ahead.
To piggyback off of what you just said, yes, I like to look at pain, the difference between traditional pain and the pain that we like to engage in BDSM. It just depends on the context, right? So, for example, under the right context would be like if we were having sex, we were in a trusted relationship, and I'm like, stroking it good and hitting it from behind, and I give you a well-placed smack on your ass. to some people or to most people, that could actually feel really good because of the context. Same thing for people that like to choke and stroke. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. If I'm choking you, if I were to walk up to you in the middle of the day and start choking you, you're going to hit me or probably shoot me, right? But again, under the right context with a trusted lover in the proper situation and done correctly, that choke could be the icing on the cake to bring you over the top. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Expect it to be.
Right.
Have you been choked, Glo Baby? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
What's the difference between choking and being strangled?
That's yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to get strangled. I mean, maybe. Right.
Speaking of choking,
Mhm.
Obi, you know who you are, but okay. Can you share a personal experience that illustrates how BDSM has positively impacted your life or relationship?
Absolutely. So in BDSM, we have something that's called a negotiation that takes place before any form of interactions between two people. This is something that we'll speak about a little bit more in the show. But just to give you a practical example of how that works is, you know, if you were to come to the dungeon, of course, we would do a consultation before you even get there to discuss some of your interests. But when you get to the actual dungeon and I have everything laid out, I would go through each one of these things on this table and give you brief demonstrations of how I like to use certain things to give you the option to say, hey, I like that, I love that, or that's just not for me, you know. But we do that because we want to make people feel informed. We want to make people feel like they're competent, and competence creates confidence whenever you're engaging in something. So one of the biggest things that people go wrong at when it comes to trying new things is that they try to spring it on their partners. You know, an example of that is like anal sex. A lot of people have tried it without it ever being a conversation. Oh, I tried to put it in her ass and she ain't like it, or he tried to put it in my ass and I didn't like it, so to speak. And my first question is, well, did you guys have a conversation about it first? Did you guys take any class on it? Did you read any books on it? Did you watch any videos on it? Did you discuss how you would go about it before doing it? Or did you just try to be spontaneous in that moment? And in that moment, what happens is you create anxiety. So I've learned that you can apply negotiations to every aspect of intimacy, not just BDSM. You know, my favorite question before engaging with a person is, how do you want to feel today? Who do you want to be? You know, things like that can really like set intention whenever you're about to engage in intimacy. And just taking those types of like approaches can really like level us up in so many different ways.
Wow.
Yeah. It lowers your inhibitions and stuff. Yeah. So
It takes the edge off, especially when you don't know what to expect.
Right.
So it's like anything goes.
But I'm at, yeah.
I don't know about anything.
Well, we want to make sure that people are feeling, you know, like safe in every experience that they're having. But I understand the value that something like, you know, alcohol or weed or, you know, mushrooms or whatever thing a person may be into, it could have value. Of course, you know, and where the places that I go to, we don't recommend people get drunk or too intoxicated to engage in anything. That's like rule number one. So they're like rules that kind of govern proper BDSM, and being intoxicated is one of those things that we avoid. So some people think that in order to do some of the more wilder or adventurous things, you want to be fucked up. And that's actually the worst way to do it, because you want to be, again, competent. You want to make sure that you're keeping people safe. And even if you're not doing the BDSM per se acts, if you're choking somebody or if you are engaging with somebody and being aggressive, you don't want things to go, you know, a little bit too far, or you not to be, I guess, competent enough to be able to be attentive to your partner.
Right.
So, you know, we try to manage our intake in those situations.
I mean, that's a great thing, because you want the person to be able to experience and actually feel what's happening to them, and for their body to just be able to take it in, not that their body, their mind, like everything should just be able to take it all in. Because I mean, looking at some of these things, it can be very, very intimidating.
I love that word. I'm so happy you used that word. My style, I like to define it as intimidation meets sensuality.
Wow.
And the reason that is because I truly believe that the nervous system plays a big part in building arousal. So we all know about the negative nerves, right? You know, when you get bad news or things don't go your way, we don't like that. However, the positive nerves is you're about to get on a roller coaster. You're about to do something adventurous for the very first time. And you're excited and giddy about it. And when your nervous system is on high, you actually feel everything. And when I talk about sensuality, I like to play on the word senses. So I like the idea of activating or engaging all of your senses in every experience that we go through. So whether that be touch, when you come into my dungeon, I have like a smell for every different room, just so that it can evoke a different type of emotion or feeling within you. As far as lighting. Yeah, you know, smell. Y'all know the power of smell. When you walk past a good smelling man, or a good smelling man is like, listen, you're already halfway there. You know what I'm saying? But also, you know, going into an environment that is clean, neat, organized, and smells good, you're already like, hold on, wait, let me get a little comfortable, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by that can add value when you're talking about engaging that sense, you know, and then you're talking about what you see. So of course you have the intimidation factor of like, oh my God, but it also evokes the curiosity out of you. Like, what's that? And what's this? And what the hell you plan on doing with that? And then when I answer certain questions and show you like, this looks crazy, but it actually feels amazing. Like, for example, we'll talk about it more, but I just demonstrated fire play on you, right? Us black folk, we don't fuck around with no fire, right?
No.
Right?
As
But
kids, you taught.
Stay,
Don't touch that stove hot.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to keep them from touching it, what we do? We put their hand.
We show them that it's hot.
Feel that heat,
and they pull back, and they never do it again.
And
but
knives, because I see some sharp.
Oh, I play with all the things our mother told us not to.
I was going to ask what that was about. That looked a little
I know,
scary.
and I'm excited to show it to you. But to piggyback off what I was saying, when you felt the fire, was it incredibly painful?
No, I didn't feel it. It's like a
little warm sensation, right? And that's the mind fuck that I like to provide. That provides that mental stimulation of you looking at the fire and you're like, oh my God, that's fire. Even you were nervous, and then when you felt it, you was like, oh, it actually isn't that bad. What that mind fuck provides is you being present in the moment. One of the hardest things for women to do is be present during intimacy. Y'all have managed and deal with so much in y'all day to day that even when y'all supposed to be enjoying yourselves, y'all thinking about all the other shit that y'all supposed to be doing. Right? So when there's fire on your pussy, you're not thinking about...
Oh, that's where it goes?
That's where it goes. It goes...
Oh, man, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I put it everywhere. No, I did it. No,
you're going to smell burnt.
Yo, no. I have ways to make sure that you don't smell that. And I do deal with a lot of clients that don't shave.
Okay.
And it doesn't affect it. It doesn't, I can still use it.
The hair don't catch on fire?
No, it does not. No. And that's another thing. So you would assume that it does.
I want to be a voyeur for that.
You would assume that it does, but it doesn't.
Oh, no.
And I can singe hair in certain areas if you want it to be removed and things of that nature, but it's not even a problem. So many people was like, oh, I'm coming for a session. I know you do fire play and you put it on nipples, pussy, skin, everywhere, right? Do I need to shave? I'm like, if you want to, that's on you. If you don't, you don't have to, because I've done it with so many clients where they are not shaved and it's not the end of the world. Some people, well, there's variations. It's not like bushy, right? But
you have a
little script, little landing script here and there.
I'm gonna start giving out gift cards to European wax, because if you're not shaving in 2024,
hey, you know, some people have different approaches to it. But the point is that when something like that is taking place, you're not thinking about anything else. And that's what I mean by involving the senses. So not only are you feeling something, but you aesthetically are looking at something that is grabbing your attention and keeping you focused on that particular moment. So, you know, that's why I like the idea of things being kind of scary to grab your attention, but also it feels amazing to provide that mind fuck.
So let me just rewind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You mentioned you have a different scent for each room for your dungeons with an S. So when I was in school, S meant plural.
Different rooms. I have one dungeon. This is my second dungeon in total, but I still only operate one. We're moving to Atlanta, or looking for a place to open up another dungeon in Atlanta as well. But as of right now, I have a dungeon with several rooms that provide different experiences.
You mean you're leaving us in the...
we would listen, we born and raised in New York City, so we're not going to ever abandon New York, but we are going to expand the business and be in different places.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Because people everywhere can learn
Mm-hmm.
a lot. I mean, just in these few minutes that we've been talking, it's been very informative.
Yeah.
And because I know for me, I mean, I know a lot of people are not going to believe this, because if you know me in real life, I have like
You're
this whole
open-minded.
persona that they think
Is a good girl.
I am what I am, but I actually grew up like in a very conservative household.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of the things that we talk about that are taboo in BDSM and kink,
Mm-hmm.
that's me.
Yes.
And so then it's like, when it comes to being sexually open, I'm like, I ain't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start to like shy away, and I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when I'm in the moment, I find myself oftentimes not being relaxed.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm holding back on what I'm feeling, because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
this can't happen. This,
Right.
we can't do this. We can't do certain things. So when you encounter a person, say like someone like me, like how, besides having the conversation and you like the intimidation, once you actually get into the
Mhm.
play, how do you get them to really like relax and take in the moment of what's actually happening?
That's an excellent question. So, to piggyback off of the consultation part that I mentioned earlier, that is an opportunity for us to vet one another. So the consultation is for me to be able to evaluate, or so the first part of the step is that you're going to take a kinky quiz that is going to kind of lay out some of your interests. It is going to ask questions that you've probably heard before and some you've never even thought about asking yourself, right? And it's going to give you a grade based on your answers, and we're going to go over each one of those grades one by one. You get an opportunity to hear me speak and know that I am coming from a place of knowledge and expertise, which kind of like definitely soothes you a little bit. So any type of the nerves, like you start to believe and truly believe that you're dealing with a professional, somebody that actually knows what they're doing. But also we're going to cover certain topics that remind you or let you know that you're in a safe environment. And when I say safe, I don't only mean physical, I mean psychologically as well. You know, one of the things that you mentioned was your hesitation when it comes to trying to open up and try different things, because you want to make sure that if you do or let yourself go, that you're not only physically safe, which is absolutely the most important thing, but also like, are you going to run and tell people? Are you going to try to record me in private? Are you going to try to blackmail me? Are you going to use this against me in the next argument that we have? Like all of these different ways that you could feel unsafe by giving yourself to a person. And when you have certain conversations, like again, in the consultation, during the negotiation, you know, if you read my reviews, as amazing as they are, the thing that is always common in every single review is how they always spend time talking about the negotiation process. My negotiation is usually, especially for a new client, can run anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes to an hour long of us just walking around the dungeon, talking about every single thing and giving you examples, giving you practical things that you might have already done in your own life and your own experiences, and different ideas of how we can incorporate some of those things today. So by the time it's time for you to get on that table and start with your massage, and that's another thing I do, I don't do any BDSM without giving a sensual massage first. So to get you out of your body, so to speak, or out of your head and into your body. Right. But by the time you get on that table and you're ready for a massage, you feel empowered. You're excited. You're giddy about that thing that I just showed you, or those things that you picked out that you really love. And you also have an idea of my style, and things are starting to make sense. You know what I mean? And again, my my sensual massages are minimum of an hour before the kink even begins. So there's a process. I don't jump into like, oh, bend over, let me spank you, or bend over, let me do this to you. It doesn't work that way. There's an actual process, because you have to understand that people, like you mentioned, need the permission or the allowance to be able to go out of their head and into their bodies.
So if your massage, so your consultation is at least 45 minutes. 45
minutes. Mm-hmm.
And then your massage is at least an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So we're almost at 2 hours.
The negotiation is also another like I said, 45 minutes to an hour.
So that's almost 3 hours right
yeah,
there.
of just talking, communicating, getting. Well, the massage is not talking per se,
Right.
but we can chat, we can do some small talk. But I'd rather it to be quiet and let you really zone out and get familiar with how I touch. That's another thing that's super important to women is learning how attentive a man can be with his hands. So you get an opportunity to feel my dominance via sensuality. The way that I'm moving your
Dominance
body.
and sensuality.
So yeah, there's
I think that it's too many lights.
too many lights
because it's hot. So right there is 3 hours. How long is the actual session? Once you get into the kink and the BDSM, then that goes.
So my sessions are a minimum. Well, I do have a package. I need to probably get rid of it because nobody ever books it. I have a package that's an hour-long package. And as long as I've been doing kink, I think only one person ever booked that. And I have well over 400 clients, right? And I say all that to say my average package, the one that most people are going to choose, is going to be a minimum of 2 to 3 hours long.
Okay.
So, yeah.
On top of all the things that we mentioned.
Yeah, that and the consultation is completely separate. Yeah.
That's a whole day.
Yeah. You deserve a whole day to be prioritized and worshipped and focused on. Yeah, people. I try to warn people. I don't warn them, but I do encourage people. I'm like, don't squeeze me into your day. This isn't something. First of all, my price point lets you know that this is something that you need to make time and prioritize, right? But don't squeeze me into your day. Don't squeeze you into your day. Make the day about you, right?
And then you need the next day to just take it all in of what just happened the day before.
Mm-hmm.
2 days off.
You deserve it.
2 days.
You deserve it. All the work y'all do and as much as y'all show up for yourselves, y'all need to, or for others, I should say. Yeah. You deserve a minimum of 2 days. Minimum.
I just want to say I noticed something though. Glo Baby over there.
Right.
Yeah, you already know.
She came prepared for today's show, y'all. Cause she over there in her leather.
Yes.
Oh,
She ready for the BDSM and kink going on over here.
I was rushing.
Mm-hmm.
But you stay cute and whatnot and whatever.
The fun fact is, I could say this and be 95% true. I don't ever wear leather. That's another thing that people get wrong about kink and BDSM. Yeah, I mean, it's not that I have anything against it. It has nothing to do with that. It's just that it's not my style per se.
So what do you wear?
I like suits. I love a good tailored suit with some cologne, and I like that. That's the way I like to present myself.
Ain't
I
nothing
do
like
have
a businessman.
I do have a harness, a leather harness that I like, and I mean,
harness.
Yeah, it looks like a gun holster almost. It looks like a gun holster, like the detective one.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sexy. I could wear it under my suits, and when I'm at parties and stuff, I can have things strapped to me. I like the idea of feeling
things like what?
I can have, whether it be toys, whether it be vibrators. I could have that knife on me. I could have paddles, all types of things. I love feeling like a superhero when I'm doing what it is that I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, you might just be considered a superhero.
I've been hearing it a lot. I've been hearing that a lot.
2 hour session.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing this, and what made you get into it?
So I've been practicing kink even before I was familiar with the terminology for well over 10 years. But I've been a professional dom for about, now that I think about it, almost 7 years now. So yeah. But the way that I got into kink in general, again, the reason I say that I did it before knowing what the terminology was is because so many of us are already engaged in different versions of kink. We just don't know that that's what it's called.
Okay.
Remember I gave you the example earlier of the choke and stroke. So a lot of women love the idea of that firm hand around their throat while that dick is deep in their pussy, right? But that is a form of what we call asphyxiation play. Right, where you are playing with breath play during that moment. And there's a real science behind why when you limit the air to a person's brain,
I hope y'all
it makes
seeing
them
this
start
over
to feel
there.
good. Right? Remember we mentioned, if you've been with a lover that knows how to smack ass, because everybody don't know how to smack
No,
ass.
they do not.
Right? But if you've been with a lover that actually knows how to smack ass, it could be like the cherry on top. That's called impact play. And there are so many different ways that we can engage in impact play. The paddles, the flogging, using an open hand.
What's flogging?
And we'll talk about that. These are floggers right here, these things with the long tassels. So we use them.
Still stuck on his knife.
Yeah.
He going to trust me. He put
Yeah,
it
we're
down,
gonna-
so he going. He's.
I hope y'all got time because we're going to talk about it. But yeah, like I said, that spanking is called impact play. And there's a true science behind impact play and why it feels good when it's done correctly.
Okay.
Right? The purpose of impact play is to stimulate blood to go to the particular area of the body that builds arousal and also, leads to erections in the body. So most people are familiar with when a man's penis gets hard, it's just blood rushing to that area. But
Mhm.
women get erections too, and y'all know that, right? So when you guys get really horny, your flower will start to reveal itself. That clitoris will start to reveal itself, as well as other erogenous areas. And there are so many different ways that we can push blood to those areas, and deliberately knowing how to spank correctly is one of those things that can really stimulate that area to fill with blood and wake up the nervous system and become incredibly sensitive for all other things that you plan on doing to the body.
Mm.
So yeah. So that's
I'm not often speechless.
But I forgot to answer your question. So the way that I actually got into things is because I've always had an interest in toys since I was pretty young. I brought my first vibrator around 17 years old, and it was actually by accident. I was just looking for a way to to last longer in bed with my partner at the time. And I went on Google to search a couple of different things, pieces of advices, and I kept coming across women talking about their experiences having sex with their men, and especially those married women that all were complaining that they weren't even able to have an orgasm with their partners for years, right?
That's common.
Yeah. And yeah, and see, right? And the only way that they were able to have an orgasm was when they would play with their vibrators, right? So I kept seeing vibrator. So I decided that I wanted to go out and buy my own vibrator. But mind you, I'm 17 years old. I'm not even old enough to go into the sex stores. So I went in there with a pocket full of cash, and I gave it some guy outside. I was like, "Can you go in there and buy me a vibrator?" He did just that. Came back out with some random vibrator. Mind you, I don't know what it is, right? And I used it. I used it during sex with my partner while I'm penetrating her. I put the vibrator on her clitoris, and she was in so much pleasure, and I was so distracted by her pleasure that the last thing I wanted it to do was end what was happening. So I knew from that moment, based on her reactions, that this was something that I wanted to learn more about. It took me a while before I ended up buying more toys, but I knew from that moment, if one toy can do this, and I didn't even know what toy it was, or I wasn't, intentional about it. Imagine if I actually knew and got good and paid attention to what it is that I'm doing. Fast forward a couple of years later, I'm at fast forward, I'm at a swingers party, and there was a hotel takeover, and at the
Like swingers?
yes, swingers party. Yeah. So they had a combination of what's called swing and kink at this party. It was a hotel takeover by a host called Missy King, and it was in Jersey actually. And the whole hotel was brought out by her, all 5 floors. You could walk around butt ass naked and do whatever the fuck you want on all 5 floors. On the bottom floor, on the lobby floor, they turned the entire lobby area into a dungeon area. So they had different rooms that you could learn different things about kink and BDSM. And I seen one of the performers there. His name was Sir Daniel, and he had a line of women that were ready to go next to get a demonstration of what a session with him could be like. He had a long 6-foot table of all these different tools and toys and things of that nature. And I said to myself, I have a lot of things at home. Why did I never think to bring anything to a party? And I made up my mind from that moment on, after seeing him, that was something that I wanted to explore more of. So I started bringing toys to parties and little things like that. And I started to gather crowds, and one thing led to another. My business side started to click in, like, wait a second, I can get some perks from doing this. I'm becoming the entertainment. I want to get in for free. Now I don't only want to get in for free. I want to get paid to be here, and so forth and so on. And then I started taking on private clients, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here. So yeah,
that's awesome. Like I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Title. What you do?
Well, I'm a professional dominant. But that, when I normally say that, that doesn't mean anything to anybody, right? Like, what the hell is a dominant, right? The word that most people are familiar with is dominatrix, and that picture is something else that I like to kind of stay away from. Not that I have anything wrong with dominatrix, but when people think of a dominatrix, they think of, again, somebody that's being cruel to a client, kicking them in the balls, stepping on them, wrapping them up in garbage bags, all that crazy shit, right? And though some people do enjoy that, the majority of people enjoy sensuality, right? My style of pro doming or working with clients again is a sensual approach. So to answer your question, I am the perfect person to come to if you have always been interested in trying kink or BDSM, but didn't know where to go, where to begin, how to remain safe, and things of that nature. I'm the perfect person if you are in a relationship to come to if you always wanted to learn different ways to incorporate kink and BDSM into your love life with your partner. So I work with individual women, and I also work with couples to show them and guide them on, how to do things correctly.
So I heard you say that when you was at the swingers party, the other gentleman there, his name was
Sir Daniel.
Sir Daniel. Is the sir part a commonality in the BDSM and kink world?
Yes. A lot of professional doms, the males, prefer to be called sir. Not all of them. They have different titles and things of that nature. For me, the sir, it means a lot to me because I'm a big chess fanatic. I love the game of chess, and I also love the medieval times. I love the idea of being a mighty knight. Like, I can't wait to role play. One of my fantasies is to role play with Scythe and me being a knight. I'm talking a horse and everything. We were on a castle with acres of land, and I'm like riding to rescue her, take her to the castle or to the dungeon, whatever one that she deserves, and we do different things. But I like the idea, again, of being that brave knight. And I also like the idea of being a dom. So being called sir means two different things to me. So
you mentioned Siphon.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just tell the people who's Siphon?
So Siphon is my partner. She is my boon coon. She is my everything, right? And she's also my submissive. So in the world of BDSM, when you take on a submissive or a person takes on a dominant, it is like another level of relationship. It's no one size fits all for everyone. It's just a relationship that has a kinky dynamic to it. So the majority of people that are in DS relationships, they actually have what's called a dominant submissive contract. And it works just basically as a document that lets you know what you're accountable for. Right. So it could be fun. It's not always as serious as it sounds. It could be, hey, I want us to do 2 dates a month, or I want us to, do a couple of scenes a month, or this or that. Or one of the things that she always tries to get me on is the fact that I need to be drinking a lot of water. If I could prioritize myself, because like you mentioned, my sessions are 2 or 3 hours long. I'm doing them multiple times a day. I need to be drinking water. And when I don't, she try to punish me, So there are many. And for so many people, they can benefit from the idea of having somebody hold them accountable. All right. Or so when you hear ideas of like discipline in BDSM, that's what the D stands for in BDSM. It's a way. Imagine if every time you went to the gym, you got your pussy ate or your foot rubbed, as a reward for doing what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Just playful. It's not about running somebody's life or, that's another misconception. Everything is I'm the boss. No. I'm not the boss in all areas of our life, but there are certain things that, she does let me lead in, and it becomes a lot more fun because I'm able to, due to my expertise, I'm able to take things to another level.
How do you get off?
How do I get off? I get off the same way every other man gets off. I love the idea.
It's like that's your thing. Y'all are more guided to pleasing women or pleasing others and trying to find their inner sexuality and everything that pleases them. But how one please a dominant?
I love being prioritized. I love the idea of a woman going above and beyond to figure out ways that she can deliver pleasure to me. And for those who are listening, that doesn't always mean like butt play and stuff like that. It just means like, for example, I came home from a session a few weeks ago. And there's nothing wrong with butt play or prostate play for those who are into it, right? But for an example, I came home from a session a few weeks ago, and she had the massage table laid out in our bedroom. She had the candles lit and the fireplace going, and music is there, and she's just like got a couple of things laid out, some warm oil, some warm rags, a blindfold, and she's just like, lay down. I just want to take care of you. You've been working, you know what I mean? She'll rub me down, and then she'll give me that was my first time getting a milking session from her.
A what?
A milking session.
What's that?
That's basically when a woman uses her hands to make you come with like oil. It's a very deliberate hand job. It's very tantric. Yeah. And the approach.
Okay.
It feels good. It feels amazing. She dripped some warm oil, some warm coconut oil on my dick and just rubbed it and made that macaroni and cheese sound the whole time while she talking dirty and affirming me and making me feel good. Yeah, that shit was fire.
Siphon. if you're watching this, hit me up at the Bougie Babe podcast so you can give me those notes, or you can just show me how to do it. I mean,
she's right over there. She can see you. She know all of this. So, yeah. So that's, again, every single time that we have sex doesn't have to include any of this stuff, right? I recommend, if you can, at the very minimum, like try to have a small vibrator that you can give a woman clitoral stimulation with while you're penetrating her. You don't need to have rope and this, that, and a third. But I do understand the importance or value the importance of prioritizing certain days where you do a little bit more. Every day can't be a fucking roller coaster ride. There's nothing wrong with a quickie here and there before work or before sleep or whatever. But there should be a day that you have on your calendar like, babe, I want you to clear the day. It's us. You know what I'm saying? It's us. We're going to do whatever we want to do. And, that's something that we actually do in our relationship.
Great.
She'll put things on the calendar and she'll ask me, is this day okay? And I'm like, okay. Next thing you know, she's like, you got a session with Siphon coming up. Or vice versa, you got a session with Sir coming up. And that creates excitement, that creates that anticipation that, we desire in relationships. We lose that when we get in long-term relationships because we're so used to being around each other that it's hard to turn off that I just came out of a Zoom meeting. I'm editing videos. I'm doing all of this.
It's the complacency of it.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes complacent. And that's the thing. You can never become complacent because that's when you begin to lose each other. But I want to go back to the name Sir.
Yes.
So I don't know if you know my brother, his podcast is Mind Triggers.
Okay.
And Jay. And so how would Jay from Mind Triggers get the name Sir? How would he be able to get the name Sir in front of his name if that's what he wants it?
If he wanted to, he could go through training to become a dom. He can take classes. He can go to different events and things of that nature and just take the journey of educating himself. And, it's not a name that somebody else can give you. It's not an official title you can put on your driver's license.
Right.
But, when you are truly dedicated to taking this thing serious, you won't try to have somebody call you something that you don't truly feel like you deserve yet. So it got to a point like, even now, as Sir Marvelous, I don't tell people to call me Sir Marvelous. I tell you, if you want to call me Marvelous, that's totally fine. If you want to call me Sir, if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But I'm going to do my best to earn that title the same way a doctor earned the title doctor or a judge earned the title judge and so forth and so on. When you see the way that I move and I carry myself and that I stand behind what it is that I say, you're not going to have a problem calling me Sir. And Sir is not specific to women or men as it relates to like who can call a person Sir. I always tell that if you call a dom that you respect Sir Marvelous as another man, a heterosexual man, that's not you submitting to them. That's not you putting them over you. That's you respecting the work that they put in to get themselves in that situation. So, but again, it's not mandatory. So to answer your question, he would just have to do the work, go through the process, and feel like he earned that name and ask people to call him that. And as he creates a reputation for himself, being good and just as it relates to this, I'm sure more people would respect it.
Right. Jay, did you hear all that? Hello? Did you hear it? So if BDSM was an Olympic sport,
oh God,
what event would you compete in? What event would you compete in?
Oh, that's a good one.
And what would your strategy be to win the gold?
Forced orgasms. Yes. So I'm really good at making women come on command. I am really good at making women have squirting orgasms. And,
wow.
And yeah. So I think if there was a competition, it would be forced orgasms. Who can, give their partner the most orgasms as possible in the shortest period of time, or some variation of that. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
You get men more open to this.
Right.
You know how that it's in them, but they scared because they might think you might judge them or look at them differently if you try to bring it out of them. So you don't want to be the one to like really bring it out of them. How do you get them to feel comfortable to want to try different things?
So that's the journey that I'm on for, and not to focus on just us as people of color, but I only can relate to me, right? And I want the idea of other black men to see a black man out here that is a heterosexual man. Not that there's anything wrong with anybody that is not heterosexual, but I want black men to see another heterosexual black man out there doing his thing, and showing you that this is practical stuff. Yes, it looks crazy. You know, for a long time I would go on podcasts and I would go, it's not that crazy. Actually, I could explain it all. No, it is crazy. But it's okay to be crazy. It's okay to be different. It's okay to stand out, right? But when you start to understand that anything that I'm doing, all the things that I'm talking about can be explained and it can be learned in a very relatively short period of time, that increases the chances of somebody trying. Now, to answer your question, that person has to be open-minded to learning and truly care about delivering pleasure to their partner. Right. You know, if I would leave somebody by the wayside if you gave them your best chance or best presentation to say, hey, you know, I love the sex that we're having, but I would love to figure out a way that we can take things to the next level. Or better yet, you know, I don't have as many orgasms as I wish I could. And I've been reading a book or watching a video or attended a class that has spoken about, you know, the importance of clitoral stimulation during sex. What do you think about that? Would you be open to using a vibrator while you penetrate me? Can we start with something like that?
But some men feel intimidated by that. Like they don't want.
Then that's not the men you should be dealing with.
They know how to pleasure women.
Exactly.
It's a nut.
Like jumping on them.
Well, because
pleasure women, but it's not.
So have you taken the approach, not you, but and this is the question I'm asking the people in the audience, have you genuinely taken the approach of educating a man on the lack of pleasure that women are experiencing? Or are you just saying, try this vibrator? See, if you say just try this vibrator, they don't understand why you want it. They don't understand that. But if you say the majority of women do not have orgasms for penetration alone, if you can read about it, let's look at the statistics, babe. The majority of women are out here faking orgasms. You know, I love the sex that we have, but I don't have as many orgasms as I possibly can because you ignore my clitoris. You know, most men, and it's not your fault. You know, the stuff that we see on television or, in porn is miseducation. You know, that pound and ground thing, that's not the way that most women like to be fucked. You know, most women like to be filled. You ask a woman and you want length or girth, she's going to tell you girth. She want both. But if she had to choose, she want to feel filled. But we are as men, we focus on trying to stab our cervix with the longest thing we could find, right? Or going as fast as we can. Understanding how to educate a man on how to actually pleasure a vagina or a pussy or a vulva, whatever the word terminology you want to use, is so fucking important. You know, it's so much miseducation out there as a whole. So yes, starting with why. Explain the why behind you wanting this person to explore different things. I would love to take our sex to another level. I know that there are so many different types of orgasms that my body is capable of having that I haven't even been able to experience yet. And this is a journey I want to take with you. So another approach that you can have is an empowering one. I know that this is in you. I know that this is something you're capable of. I trust you. You know, rub his ego a little bit. I never told anybody I was interested in this. And you're the only person that I thought that I could talk to about this because I trust and I love you. Right? You know, so learning that approach, y'all are good at it. Y'all good at that. Y'all know how to put the flowers on the words and things of that nature. But it's super important for them to understand the why. Don't just say, let's use a vibrator. Let's use a toy. You know, listen to podcasts like this. You know, listen to podcasts that I've been on. You know, read the reviews, read articles. When's the last time you've invested in learning about your pleasure, right? We invest in every other aspect. You want to learn how to drive a car, you take lessons. You want to start a new job, they're going to train you for 90 days. You do anything, podcasting, it's a learning curve, right? And I'm sure you've read books, you've done your research, you've watched other podcasts, you've done all the things you can to get good at what it is that you do. We don't do that for pleasure. When's the last time you've seen a man say, I went to a how to eat pussy class? Right. But women will be quick to take a dick sucking class. They'll be quick to take a dick rodding class. They'll be quick to take a stretching class, pole class. They'll be quick to a twerking class. They are quick to educate themselves on how to increase pleasure for the man. Because that's what the society has been focused on, pleasure for the man. Is it time to kind of flip that a little bit, or a lot of it, I should say, and start getting men to be more open to the idea of learning shit. Where did you learn how to fuck a woman? It can't be from experience, because I know as a chess player, you can learn more in 1 year than you can learn in 20 years of playing chess, because you're reading the books, you're learning from people's 20 years of experience. Read books, watch videos, go to classes, be intentional about your learning, and have conversations. My number one question I ask my clients before we even begin anything is, what are some things that you've learned about yourself that you enjoy during intimacy? I'm dealing with women 30, 40, 50, even 60 years old that said, I've never been asked that question. So you've been having sex all these years and a man never asked you what you like in bed. So
that's deep.
You know what I'm saying? This is
deep.
This is the world we're living in. So, we really need to start having these conversations instead of just trying to, spring things on people because we're interested in them. Let's try to educate them and inform them and create competence and confidence in their, performance.
So, in speaking in pleasure, right? What's an unexpected or underrated form of foreplay that you found particularly enjoyable to?
So I'm gonna give you two answers. So sensual massages is definitely one, the power of a massage. And not that I'm gonna rub your back and then try to put it in your not that quick, the cheap massage that a lot of guys like to give. Like a true intentional, from the toes or the soles of her feet to the scalp of her head, right? That type of massage where you're genuinely caring about it, right? Or just affirmations, speaking to your partner, actually being verbal during your intimate experiences with people. So even if you're not actually physically fucking at that moment, you can still talk about how that person smells, how much you anticipate what's about to happen, how much you've missed them, really start affirming what's about to happen via your words. That is stimulating the mind is the most powerful sexual organ that we can stimulate, right? So it's super important that we kind of take the shortcut to get to that mind by using our words. Make that person use their imagination and build that anticipation within them.
Yeah. So, that's a lot. So when you when you get into the whole playing and usage of the flogs and some of the many other I don't know, things that you have there.
Yeah.
What's like, do you have like safe words or like if you do, what are some of the common safe words that you hear?
That is a great question. That is a great question. Yes. So I use the traffic light colors. So green, yellow, and red. It means exactly what it sounds like. At any point in time, I might say to you, T, during the session, at any point in time, I may ask you what your current color is. And you can tell me either green, yellow, or red. And green means exactly what it sounds like. It means that you're enjoying yourself. I can keep going. Shit, I might even be able to go a little bit deeper, right? Yellow can mean a couple of different things. It can mean you need to slow down, take a second to catch your breath, take a shot of some liquor, right? Proceed with caution, take a shot of some liquor, hit the blunt, tinkle, whatever you may need. You just say yellow and I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to check in with you, okay?
Okay.
And now red just means stop. If at any point in time you say red, I'm going to stop what I'm doing as quickly and as safely as I can, all right? But there's another special word that I always give people the option to want to use. Would you like to know what that word is?
I do.
All right. So if at any point in time during this session, your body starts to feel better than green, I would love for you to say marvelous, right?
Oh.
Right. So now the whole purpose of that.
Okay.
So the whole purpose of the safe word is not because things are going to get intense. It's because I want us to have a way to communicate without having to find the jargon that matches with it. So for an example, I might be, doing something to a particular person and ask them what their color is. They can say green. You can use this even with regular sex, right? You can just, if he's hitting that spot or it's a certain area or something that's happening that you really enjoy, just say green. Encouragement, and with that, you don't have to find the words. So many people try to talk during sex and it just it takes them out of the moment because they don't want to sound ridiculous. They don't want to sound silly. They don't want to be judged. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But, there are ways that we could check in with our partner, just say green or just say yellow and just slow down. So it's not always about going to the extreme reasons to need a safe word, but sometimes things can be really, really good and you need a way to express yourself,
Glo Baby, what would your safe word be?
I don't know. Depends on what he's doing. I don't know. I think it depends on what I'm going.
What's going on? Because I had this discussion with Jay, again, from Mind Triggers. If you never watched their podcast,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta absolutely
Okay.
watch it because, so to give you background about me and the Bougie Babe podcast, every episode we talk about something different.
Right.
So it's kind of like no two episodes are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, talking about sex and intimacy and all that other kind of stuff is like,
It's definitely a different thing.
it's very different. Especially like on a platform like this, like a one-on-one, I'm joking around, like, oh, whatever. But Mind Triggers, they get into all things
Right.
sex.
Yes.
And so I had this conversation with Jay, and we were just talking about what we were going to talk about on here.
Yes.
And we got into safe words, and he tells me, I asked him, like, what would your safe word be? And he tells me that his safe word comes from a wise man
Okay.
named Mystical.
Oh, shake that ass.
Bitch, get off of me.
So, okay, to give you another reason why safe words work in BDSM, so many of us like to role play, right? One of the biggest kinks when a woman feels safe that she likes to explore, again, when a woman feels safe, right, physically and emotionally, is the idea of what's called CNC, consensual, non-consensual sex, aka rape play. The aka, I want you to take it against my will, right? Again, with somebody that they feel safe with.
Okay.
So I've heard that so many times. They like the idea of feeling dominated in that way. It's not for everyone, but for those who like the idea of saying, no, stop, please, no, that type of engagement, having a safe word is important, because if you're saying no, I know that doesn't mean you actually want me to stop. Right. So when you say yellow or when you say red, I know that you're actually being serious and that you're no longer in this particular role. So there are many different opportunities for us to expand on role play as long as we have safe words in place. So that's another way that we like to use it as well.
Got you. That makes it more relatable and understandable, because sometimes women will say,
No.
oh yeah, girl, no mean that, it's that no that means yes. That no, yes.
No, that no gets you in jail.
right. So yeah, I get it.
Now, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt your wisdom, but there's one thing I do want to add when it comes to safe words of communicating during sex. I learned this from another sex educator. Slower, faster, deeper, softer, right? So the way that would work, right? Instead of yes, slower, faster, slower, faster, deeper, harder, right? Oh no, fuck! I said, what's that? Harder, softer. Yes, slower, faster, softer, harder, right? So many times, we try to get feedback from our partner while we're experiencing pleasure, or try to give feedback to our partner while we're experiencing pleasure, and we can't find the right words. So giving your partner those 4 words to give you can say softer, harder, or you could say slower, faster.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a great way to communicate with your partner where you want them to stay or where you want them to be, so to speak. So that's one tip that I would tell you to take home.
Okay.
You're the number one teacher of your own body.
Mm-hmm.
Only you can teach somebody how to love you, or whatever your love language is.
Yeah. And to go back to what you were saying about this podcast, what you're doing is incredibly special. I like the idea that Jay talks about all the things that, all the things.
All the
but,
things.
the one thing that he has a disadvantage of when it comes to that is because the people already have to be interested in learning about that things or speaking about that thing. You kind of surprising your audience with this type of conversation kind of surprises them in a good way. I don't believe that the conversation about sex and pleasure should be as taboo as it is. We all have to engage in pleasure. And the idea that we can't talk about it as consenting adults is crazy.
Right.
The idea that we can't say, like, when's the last time you've talked about what you enjoy? Our sex education in general is just so limited, right, to like STDs and pregnancies. It doesn't talk about pleasure. It doesn't talk about how to have a conversation about what you enjoy, how to give feedback to your partner. Everybody, even preachers, priests, everyone, when they're married, they have to engage in pleasure. You think the idea that we're just going to know what to do is foolish. And we need to start having, again, some more of those mature, consenting conversations between adults that talk about this without it having to be this cringy thing. If you have a conversation about sex and for some reason you get cringy, then that's something that you need to check within yourself, because we all need to engage in this at some point in time or another.
But so it's like I don't see it as
And I didn't mean you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it as an advantage or disadvantage to the audiences, but I think that what they do is it starts the dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
and it allows people to see that we're human,
Right.
and we all enjoy sex in
Yeah.
some shape, way, form, or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, when I'm watching their show and we're talking about topics and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, different subject matters and different people that's going to come on Mind Triggers, it makes it relatable.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they have different age groups, different age brackets that come on there.
Yeah.
And it allows people to see like, oh, okay, you're in your 20s and, you know,
You're interested in
you're
open
doing
to-
this,
Mhm.
or you're in your 50s and you're
doing
still
it.
right. You're still doing this, you
Yeah.
know, or like whatever, or that you can be in your 50s and you're still sexually active and
Very
you're
much.
doing things more than just the missionary
Yes.
position, because some of the things that they talk about, honestly, I could never do it.
Right.
Like I could not.
Be that open. Or...
I can't do it. You know, so I really find it fascinating that I ask him all the time, how do you find people to get on there and talk about this shit?
Yeah.
You know, so I think it starts the dialogue and it opens the dialogue and it makes it relatable to something that we do
Mm-hmm.
all the time. I mean, that's just what we do.
Lots of people who don't find these experiences until later on down the line.
Yes. Yes.
Who've really never had a real orgasm or never
Mm-hmm.
Right.
50, 60 years old.
Right. And
So they,
so they do it, right? I wanted to expand on what I meant by disadvantage.
Mhm.
I absolutely love the idea of him talking about these different things. What I meant by the disadvantage is that when we announce ourselves to be sex positive podcast or people that speak about it, we get shadow banned. We get put in
Right.
to this box where we're not able to reach as many people as we can. That's what I meant by the disadvantage. And you have the advantage of surprising, because you're not a sex podcast, right? You're not
Right.
somebody that talks about it. So now Instagram or Facebook or this or that may not put you in this box of like, I'm not going to show this video to everybody else. I understand the purpose of them shadow banning people. It's like a double-edged sword, right?
Mhm.
You don't want to have people saying wild, crazy things all over the internet, right? And or for example, in my situation, me being a professional dom, they don't know if what I'm posting is going to be super explicit, is going to be showing something. So they're trying to keep
Right.
their community safe. But it's
Right.
unfair because I'm not posting that super explicit stuff. I'm just trying to educate people. So to go back to what I was saying, you know, it's important that podcast and other entities are having these conversations, especially when they're not sex focused podcasts, because you're going to reach a larger audience and get people that, again, like you mentioned, don't even think about having this conversation, start to think about it. And that's
Right.
the purpose of it. You know, I love the idea of teaching somebody new, somebody saying, oh, I would have never thought that that's something that I would like to try. So that's what I meant.
Okay. So let's get into all the things over here.
yes, because I'm still
Because-
curious about this knife over here.
Right. So Glo Baby is,
I'm stuck on a knife.
she's stuck on the knife.
Okay. Can you pass me the knife for a second? Right. All right. Beautiful. So thank you. So knife play is a form of sensation play that we use in BDSM a lot, right? To be very, very clear, all of my knives are incredibly dull. I actually purchased them very, very dull. Let me get your hand for a second. Yeah. It's super duper dull, right?
Right.
Yeah. I actually purchased it dull because I don't need something to actually be dangerous when I'm playing with it. I just need it to look scary, right? So for example, right? Even though you know that this is a dull knife, right? When I grab your neck and I put a knife in your it's still kind of like, yo, you better watch what the fuck you're doing, right? Because our fight or flight instinct is going to kick in. And
I didn't.
yeah, so So it didn't need to be sharp for it to have that effect, right?
You see, I went
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm
Oh,
So again, it's about creating that
because
illusion.
he just went.
right.
Yes.
Wait, he's been real.
Somebody pulled me out of that. Okay.
I was surprised because
It wasn't always
he
like
was
this.
real calm, cool, and collected the whole show,
Yeah.
and then he just got.
Somebody pulled me out of this. I wasn't always like
Oh,
this. I'm telling you.
shit.
So
Okay.
I have a Jekyll and Hyde side to me. So many people refer to it as.
Okay.
I present myself this way so that it can build the trust, but the other side does come out at some point, right?
We see.
If you
Okay.
check my Twitter, you would know by now. Yeah, I like the idea of creating the illusion. Again, it looks scary, it looks crazy, but give me your hand for a second. You'll see it. It's super dull,
Mm-hmm.
super duper dull. And I know butter knives that are sharper than that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that when a person is tied up to my table, blindfolded, and I'm dragging this across their inner thighs, telling them how sharp it is, or, threatening them with other, affirming, sexy words, it still gives that same effect that I have always wanted, And you can.
So, let's see. What other things of interest?
Right.
Those gloves right there.
Oh, the vampire gloves you asked me to bring, right? Can you pass me one of those vampire gloves, please?
Sure.
Yes. There you go. Or the other one. I prefer my right hand anyway.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So, vampire gloves are one of my new favorite tools to use because it's a very sensational toy. Now, I mentioned earlier that context makes a huge difference in a person's experience. The same way I don't want to just walk up to you and start choking you unless we have that type of relationship. I want to make sure under the right context I do something. So this, may I get your arm?
You absolutely can.
Yes. So this is going to provide a very sensational experience, right? And I would do that after rubbing you down, spanking you, telling you how juicy your ass looks or how sexy your titties are. And I would be, maybe have a vibrator on your clit at the same time where you feel something like that on your booty or your inner thighs or your lower back. I call them vampire gloves because I like to growl, right? And I like to nibble on a person's body as well. So I might be growling on your it would be better if I was able to give a demonstration, but I could growl on a person's neck and pretend like I am getting very primal with them while they feel this on their outer thigh or something like that. So again, understanding the context in which something like this can happen in would make all the difference in how it feels. Another example. Pass me the metal toy there. I think T might be closer to it. Key might be closer. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Say it again.
It's heavy.
So, similar to another thing that I would mention about the vampire gloves is I can use this for what's called temperature play. Now, temperature play is most people are familiar with it, but on the colder version of it. You ever heard of ice during oral sex?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, ice in the bedroom, whipped cream, fruit, things of that nature, Vicks vapor, stuff like that. That's the colder version of temperature play. Most people don't care for
Glo
cold
Baby
on their
waking up.
genitalia, but for those who do, they really enjoy it. And what happens when you lower or increase the temperature in a person's body part, you actually increase the sensitivity. Right. So with metal toys, I'm able to put this in the freezer, make it cold. I'm able to put it in my towel warmer, make it warm, or use it with fire play. But also sometimes just the weight of it. Hold it for
Yeah,
me.
it's heavy.
Just sometimes the weight of it gives that pleasure that I was talking about earlier, where a person wants to feel full. So I can have a woman laying on her back and I can have that sitting inside of her with a vibrator on her clit, her nipples being stimulated, my hand around her throat, and I'm whispering dirty things in her ear all at the same time. All of that at the same time. And that thing,
Disturbed.
right. And I'm telling her not to come. So, and you can feel how heavy it is as well.
It's heavy.
And that's going to pull down, while she's on her back, that's going to pull down on her A spot. But if I
Wait, you said, okay, so wait.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get you said laying on her back.
Yes, she's on a massage table laying on her back.
Okay.
Right? And this is inside of her pulling down on her A spot, right? And if I were to turn her on her stomach and I would put her inside her, it would be pulling down on her G spot. So the spots inside of a woman's pussy responds better to pressure. That's one thing that men don't get right. We think it's the pounding and the this, that, and the third. No, when you fill her up When she feels stretched, when she feels full, that's a much more pleasurable experiences, and it can lead to a lot more orgasms.
That's why they feed us like that. The same mechanism of feeding the woman, making her feel full.
I don't know about that.
Right, probably.
I don't know about that full, but I like the idea of, you know, that girthy feeling inside of her pussy, you know?
So is this how, because I saw you stated on another podcast, how you could make a woman squirt without having sex with her.
Yes.
So it's
all of the things. It's all the things. I've
Okay.
made, I have a video of a woman coming from being spanked on stage, you know, and she squirted all over the place. Yeah, so there are many different ways of nipple orgasms, asphyxiation play, of course, G-spot stimulation, all types of different ways that you can make a woman come, and especially when she's comfortable and she feels safe. That's the number one thing. You should start there. So many people ask me, especially men, like, "Oh, what's the one toy I need?" I'm like, safety, confidence, you know, security. Those are the things that you want to start with, and then you can pretty much go anywhere from there.
The different paddles and the materials.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So excellent. Pass me the burgundy one all the way to the left. Yep. So this one, this was one that Siphon brought. I love this one because burgundy is my favorite color, right? This one has two sides to it. One is a soft side so that it can provide sensation play, and you could touch it as well. And then the other one, it also has a material in it, so it's not as like painful as wood, or it's not like wood or metal, but it could provide a nice good feeling. May I show one? Does anybody want to demonstrate what that feels like? All right, I like it. I like it.
Juicy.
So I'm gonna need you to stand up for a second. So I'm gonna put this chair out, and I'm gonna see which camera we can use to show.
That's her camera right there.
So what I'm gonna have you do is I'm gonna have you turn around. I want you to bend over and touch that. Stick that booty out. There we go, like this. So I'm hoping that you see that this is one where. Is that super painful for you?
No.
Okay. And I can use it to be sensational, right? Now, if I were to put my hand here, come here for a second. Yeah, that's perfect. Right there. And I could just use this right here and just tap and just tap. And remember, if it was just you and I, it would be so much different. And then I can tease you. And it's not about being painful. It's not about causing pain. It's about providing different sensations.
Put your shirt up.
But I was relaxed.
Yeah.
And that's what I want you to be, right? And so imagine, you know, that intensity for hours on time. You know, again, we're being playful here because we're in the studio and we're not able to get as sexual, right?
Right.
But you have to understand that context. If we were in the dungeon, the lighting was different, the music is playing, you know, we've had a long conversation of all of that, and now I'm doing this. It's a whole different feeling than us just playing in a very lit studio like so.
No, one thing I could never get into.
The rope.
What's that?
Gagging. Bounded. Like, what is it about?
So what kind of gagging? Are you talking like a mouth gag?
Right.
So that is called bondage play or rope play. So there are many different versions of bondage play that we can talk about. We could talk about using hand restraints, handcuffs, bed restraints, or even rope for decorative purposes. So many people like the idea of feeling the rope on their skin and the sensuality that comes with it. A lot of the times, you know, the best type of rope play doesn't involve making a person feel restricted. It's about making a person feel decorated like a piece of art. I can put that rope on you right now and create a design on your body that makes you feel and look beautiful. You're going to want to look in the mirror and go, oh my God, that looks so cute. It's holding up my breasts. It's making me feel sexy. It also feels like, you know, versus feeling like you're somebody's prisoner. Everybody's not into the idea of feeling restricted. For those who do, an example of that without rope being necessary. Have you ever had a lover pin your hands down while he made love to you?
Yeah, I don't like it.
So then that's not for you. That's a perfect way to know that that's not for you.
You're not tying me up. You're not handcuffing me. You're not strapping me down to the bed. We're not doing any of that.
And there's many reasons why a person may not enjoy it, but the majority of people that do like the idea of doing it only when they feel safe with their partner.
Okay.
You know, when that confidence is there. It wouldn't be in a situation where, again, some random dude you're hooking up where he's like pulling out rope and he's like, no, hell no.
Because he's trying to get killed.
He's trying to, right.
So what are these, like nunchucks?
Mm.
Said nothing.
So these are called floggers, and these are another sensation toy. They're usually not usually, but they are used. Mhm. They are used for impact play. Like, remember I spoke about spankings? So remember, impact play is most commonly known or recognized as spankings, paddling, flogging, which I'm about to demonstrate in just a second. And one of the things that people get wrong when they see it on the outside looking in is that they assume that it's all about pain. They think it has to be about intensity or bruising or hitting a person as hard as you can, and it has nothing to do with any of those things. I want you to just hold on to this flogger for a second, and I want you to feel the leather, right? That is a combination of both leather and suede. And sometimes, just dragging that across a person's naked body while they're, blindfolded, tied up, and you're whispering things in the air, that alone can be enough to drive a person insane.
So you're going to demonstrate this?
Yes, absolutely.
No, I'm not. Juicy, she's somewhere in the studio.
Juicy's in the studio?
From Mind Triggers. Juicy.
She's
Juicy.
calling you.
Come on, sis.
So what I want you to do is...
This is Juicy from Mind Triggers.
Hey, nice to meet you. So which camera would be best for us to demonstrate it on? I want you to come around the table. So Jay, which camera would be best for us to focus on? This one right here? So I'm going to back this chair up for just a second. And I am going to have you come, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I want you to come here, and I want you to turn around, and I want you to bend over and touch the chair for me, okay? Give me a view.
You see all that ass, y'all. Booty, 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 booty everywhere.
Were you listening when I gave the safe words green, yellow, and red? So you're going to use it just the way it sounds. If something feels good, you say green. If you want me to slow down, you say yellow. If you want me to stop, you can always say red. I'm going to check in with you throughout the flogging to ask you what your color is, all right? I want you to say it nice and loud, all right? So I want you to tell me right away.
That sounds nice.
Is that too painful for you? Oh, good. Good. Again, a lot of the times we would have music playing, and I would be going to the beat of the song, right? And we would be dancing and talking shit.
Wow.
Is that super painful for you? No. What's your color? Good.
Wow.
The whole purpose of this is to stimulate blood to that ass, to that pussy, right? I can go backwards. Again, and then I would mix it up. I'm going to spank the entire time. I'm going to rub. I'm going to tease. I'm going to squeeze.
Wow.
I'm going to kiss. I'm going to do all these different things to make her feel good. Is that okay for you? Okay, great. And then again, I could do... Excuse me. Thank you so much. That was a great...
Thank you.
You're talking to the mic.
Mm-hmm.
So that entire time, there are other things that are happening. Again, this is after she's received an hour-long, warm, oil, sensual massage. There's my music playlist is fire, right? There's a lot of things going on at the same time. She might have a vibrator on her clit while I'm spanking her the entire time, and I'm telling her to hold it in place, So context is what the word that I'm going to keep bringing back, because that's so important. Because when people try to do something for the very first time, they might be like, oh, this belt, this doesn't turn me on. I'm like, you're not using it right. You're not doing it the way that it's supposed to be done, I was very guilty of that when I first, got my first paddle. I had no idea on how to use it. It was a wooden paddle. Right. And, we joke, but that's literally what people would try to do the first time they buy something. You like this kink BDSM? And like, why are you not coming? It's like, what? Exactly. And we have to learn that you have to use it the right way. You need to know what you're doing. And it's not hard. Like, what if, a person were to watch what I just did, they would see why that would feel good versus trying to well at her. At no point did I cock all the way back and was like, you know what I'm saying? It's
the
not
way
necessary.
You did it. It was just like really elegant. It was a beautiful thing to look at too.
Yeah.
So like I said in the beginning,
yes,
I could just be a voyeur.
Her voice helped too.
Yes.
One of those voices.
One of those voices. Yes. Yeah. Do that again. Do that again.
Yeah, one of those.
So
one of those.
All the things that we've talked about here, I know that you're an author as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Are these things that's in your book? And what's the title of your book? And where can the people go to get your book?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for plugging that. I released a book that's called Foreplay 101, which is 101 ideas or ways that you could stimulate or improve your foreplay. So you can go to sirmarvelous.com for all the links to keep up with everything that is marvelous, whether it be my Instagram, my Twitter, something that you should definitely check out. It gets explicit on there. If you want to see some even longer form content that is explicit, you can go to my loyal fans. But yes, I highly recommend, getting that book. It's only $7. I wanted to make it at a price point where people can grab it and, it could be their first stepping stone in investing in their pleasure. Again, like I mentioned earlier, it is so important that we treat our pleasure like every other aspect of our life. We don't just jump into real estate or jump into business without doing our research and our due diligence. We need to treat our bodies the same way.
Absolutely. It's a temple.
And it gives you confidence, right? A lot of the things that you're going to read in that book and of 101 things are going to be things you've heard before, used to do. Maybe you stopped doing it for whatever reason. It could be a good reminder, but there are going to be some things that you never thought about. And what that does is when you read something like that, or you take a class, or you listen to a podcast like the one we're having right now, it gives you confidence walking into it. And confidence is one of the most sexiest things you can walk in the bedroom with.
Absolutely.
So
along with Sir Marvelous book, which you all should purchase, sirmarvelous.com.
Yes.
You're also doing some tours, one being in Atlanta. That's May 19th to the 24th.
Yes.
And then he's going to be in LA, and that's going to be June 2024. And those exact dates are to be determined. So if you follow him on Instagram, Twitter, his loyal fans, if you go to sirmarvelous.com, all the information that I gave you guys, the information that he's provided to you, you can find it there. But again, that Foreplay 101 is a must-have, and the tour. And everybody likes to go to Hotlanta.
Yes.
So again, that's May 19th to the 24th. So that's coming up. Get your plane tickets.
Yes.
For all you women that want to be flued out. So I thank you so much.
I am honored
for
to be
coming
here.
on the Bougie Babe podcast. I learned a lot today. I don't know how much of this I'm going to do. That glass thing right there, we're not even going to talk about that. Maybe y'all could tune in on the behind the scenes.
Yes.
But again, I thank you for coming on. You were very informative. We learned a lot, and we needed to see this. We needed to see our people, talking about things that, as I said in the beginning, can be taboo. So, in closing, Glo Baby, do you have anything that you want to say, or
Who made the glass?
I don't know whose mold that is, but somebody, that's a good somebody. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
And sir, do you have anything in closing that you would like to say?
No, I think you definitely plugged it all. I appreciate it. I had an amazing time here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. My coaching program. Oh my gosh. See, I'm going to get in trouble. Yes.
I had that on there too.
I'm so sorry. I do have a 6-week coaching program for anybody that's interested in learning from me, that is interested in learning on how to join the lifestyle or talk to a partner about experimenting with more kink and BDSM, or just, that want to discuss anything that surrounds pleasure. Shit, if you even want virtual sessions, you're not able to make it to the dungeon, you can use that as a way to kind of like play off of that. So if you want some kinky homework, stuff like that, you could do it. You can join my 6-week coaching program. You can also find that at sirmarvelous.com. Yeah.
Sirmarvelous.com. That's the key. So my bougies, again, this was a great episode. Sir Marvelous, Glo Baby, great contributors today. Again, if you want information on where you can learn this, you can go to sirmarvelous.com. Go to his Instagram or go to his Twitter.
Read the reviews.
Yes. Foreplay 101. You gotta. I'm all about the plugs. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You gotta take the time out and go on my brother's podcast.
Okay.
Mind Triggers with
with
Jay and Juicy and that whole crew over there. Because let me tell you something. That's a whole different vibe going on. Okay?
I'm with it.
And over there next door,
yes,
you could get like way more explicit with it, and
have to be kind of good over.
We have to be sweet. We got to be good girls.
Yeah. So so check them out. Also, the TG playlist, guys. If you're looking for promotions on Spotify, YouTube, and all the things, right? Check out the TG playlist on Instagram. And of course, don't forget to tune in to the next Bougie Babe podcast. Hit me up, bougiebabe.com, thebougiebabe@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And till next time, guys. And don't forget the forbidden fruit, okay?
Yes.
See you next time.
Sip some tea with the Bougie Babe. Sip some tea with the Bougie Babe. Uninhibited, uncensored. Let's talk about it.